have become much more of what you may call a feminist over the years because I've been seeing what is going on. If you look at the manosphere and the recent studies and correlated data that has been coming out with that, it does seem like there is a trend that is headed towards misogyny. Now, in addition to being a musician and spiritual and all of that, I also am a sociologist. I went to one of the top universities in the country for sociology. I have 5 degrees related to behavioral sciences. So one thing that I definitely do know how to do is read data when it comes to studies, charts, information, and put all that together. I knew that before school, but school helps refine it. And the trends are showing that younger males in particular are becoming more misogynistic in their ideas, in their ideology, in their views towards women. Now, I believe it's more on a superficial level because it seems like it's being based more off of things that they're hearing and seeing in the media as opposed to real life experiences. However, the real world experiences of women and the testimonials I've been hearing are very real. There has been a large trend of men and women, particularly women, opting out of dating altogether at the time where they really should be the most excited about dating because things have become so transactional. And the transactional dating market is what has turned me off from that market and many others. Now, it's more than that, but I'll talk about my experience here. I have noticed that I personally think it's because of what men are viewing when they're watching a lot of physical intimacy from different people, when they are taking in media that promotes a certain view of women, when you have other cultural factors such as stigmatizations, stereotyping, and overall the rule of thumb type of mentality. In sociology, one of the things that we study is rules of thumb. And basically that means people tend to take mental shortcuts to help them navigate through life. When you have a lot of different things going on, when you have a lot of different dynamics, it's easy to take shortcuts and to decide, okay, this is good, this is bad, I'll go this way, I'll stay away from people like this and that, etc. However, these mental shortcuts can be very dangerous because also you have something that happens when a person is growing up where they've been raised by, let's say, uncles, aunts, friends, family members who have told them this is how this group of people are. This is how the world is. And a lot of people, instead of going out and experiencing the world for themselves, they take these rules of thumb that they have learned from other people and take on these mental shortcuts. But this is not good when you're living in a culture where stereotyping people, stigmatizing people is normal. And what happens is it leads to certain groups of people being misjudged, put in certain categories, communication breakdowns, because if you already feel like you know this group of people well, you don't feel a need to go through and interact with them. And this causes even more problems. And then you deal with the biggest thing that scared me more than anything when I was studying sociology. And it was the idea that once someone thinks they are right in their viewpoint, in their view of the world, they do not want to change it. In fact, if you contradict that viewpoint of the world, they will become angry at you. So in my senior thesis, I studied this and it was terrifying. At one point, I should probably read some of my senior thesis. It was really good. I got an A+, but it was basically the idea that, let's say you have an uncle, aunts, grandparents, whatever, who are bigoted, and you take on their mindset that this group of people over here are a certain way. And then you meet a certain person from that group, and based on the rules of thumb that we just talked about, you immediately assume these people are a certain way. If that person completely contradicts that behavior and acts in a different way and does different things and is completely different than what you've been told, what we have found is instead of saying, oh, that's interesting, oh, that's cool, oh, nice, instead, people tend to dislike that person and either see it as a fluke or see it as something that they have disdain for or want to disprove. In extreme cases, they may try to tear down those people because those people contradict everything that they've been told. But it also is important because they have become comfortable with the set of beliefs that they have. And so if they were to accept, hey, this is wrong and it's not right, they then would have to accept, well, what else is wrong? What else do they not know? And unfortunately, most people do not want to have that difficult conversation. Most people don't want to say, you know what, maybe I don't know a lot of stuff, because when you're in a group where you have been told that you are better or more privileged, why would you want to dismantle that? Why would you want to take on a belief that you are not as smart, or that you are not as good, or that you are not as capable as you thought you were by default? You're not going to want to do that. So what tends to happen instead is the people who interact with these people who go against what they thought tend to get very angry at them, mad at them, belittle them, see them as a fluke, ridicule them, marginalize them, or in some cases try to take them down altogether. And this continues to get worse and worse, and it becomes learned behavior. Very scary stuff, especially when you talk about the fact that these behavior traits can be passed down. When you have learned behavior that is passed down over generations and it becomes a part of the said culture, and then you have people that are trying to dismantle these things, you have one group that says, I don't want to change these things, even on a subconscious level, because that would mean I'm not a good person if it turns out I support and believe in things that are unhealthy. And then you have the people that are trying to change things for the better getting marginalized, ridiculed, discredited, laughed at, mocked, scoffed at, etc. That is not a good situation. So what do we do about it? Unfortunately, from my research, which was very painstaking, I looked through so many different studies on what do you do about it? What are different ways you can approach it? Nothing. You really can't do much about it unless you have a bunch of people decide that, you know what, even if it means that it's gonna not feel very comfortable, I'm okay with not being as privileged or not being as much in a position of power if it's for the good of all. You know, I'll give up some of my power, I'll give up some of my influence or wealth or whatever in order to help others because I want things to be fair. I'm not saying that's impossible, but I am saying it may be a long shot. Because you have people that say, well, I don't like that. I don't have to do it. Why should I do it? And that's just the way it is. So what do you do in this situation? Survive. You learn how to survive. You learn good survival skills. I think that instead of putting your head in the sand and saying it's not like this, it's not like this, it's better to be more aware of the type of world that you're in and to navigate based on that. My battery life is starting to go on my recording device. So if you like this video, hit the like button and I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, bye-bye.